Coming up next, the latest election news on the key Pennsylvania races, including the ballot counting for president.
Plus, how mail-in ballots have impacted this year's election.
For a lot of people who are very nervous about going to the polls.
And a daring daylight crime involving this truck leaves police on the lookout for suspects. The Center County Report starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Kennedy Miller. Thanks for joining us for the Center County Report and our continuing coverage of the 2020 election. We begin with breaking news in the presidential election in Pennsylvania. Joe Biden has taken the lead over President Trump. Mail-in ballots are still being counted. PA is among a handful of battleground states where the candidates are fighting to reach the 270 electoral votes needed. Pennsylvania law dictates if there's less than a half percentage point difference between Biden and Trump's vote total, a recount must be held.
As the counting continues, let's take a look through the key races in Pennsylvania and in our area to see the latest results. First, the presidential race. These are results from the Associated Press, with 96% of precincts reporting. Joe Biden now has a slight lead. The percentages are virtually tied 49-49, and the counting is still going on. Biden has 3.3 million votes, and Trump has 3.29 million. Now to three key statewide offices. In the Attorney General race, here's what we have so far between Democrat Josh Shapiro, the incumbent, and Republican Heather Heidelbaugh. Shapiro leads by a 50 to 47% margin, with 94% of the votes counted at this point.
In the race for Auditor General, here are statewide results between Democrat Nina Ahmad and Republican Tim DeFore. DeFore has just been declared the winner. He's leading 50 to 49%, with 94% of precincts reporting. He's the first Republican in that job in more than 2 decades. And in the race for Pennsylvania Treasurer, here are the latest results between Democrat Joe Torsella and Republican Stacey Garrity. Garrity is in the lead by a 49 to 47% margin. 94% of precincts are reporting results.
Here are other races we're following in Central PA. There are 2 U.S. congressional races in our area. In the 12th District, incumbent Republican Fred Keller took on Democratic challenger Lee Griffin. Keller was re-elected with 72% of the votes to 28% for Griffin. Keller was elected to the seat in a special election after Representative Tom Marino resigned last year. Griffin is a 37-year-old political newcomer who worked in warehousing and distribution. In the 15th Congressional District, longtime Republican incumbent Glenn G.T. Thompson was challenged by Democrat Robert Williams. Thompson won a 7th term with 74% of the vote to 25% for Williams. District 15 is the largest by area in the entire state.
Turning to the State General Assembly now, in the 81st Legislative District, the incumbent is Republican Rich Irvin. He won up against Democrat Ian Kidd. Irvin won 69 to 31%. He's been in office since 2015, and this will be his 4th term. Ian Kidd was one of the youngest candidates on the ballot in Center County. The Huntington County native is a teacher. In the 76th District, incumbent Stephanie Borowitz, a Republican from Clinton County, faced challenger Joe Waltz, a Democrat. Borowitz won 66 to 34%. She first won 2 years ago and became the first woman to represent District 76 and the first Republican in 50 years.
In District 77, the incumbent is Democrat Scott Conklin. His challenger was Republican Steve Yetsko. Conklin won his 8th term, beating him 66 to 34%. Yetsko was a first-time candidate and the first person to run against Conklin since 2014. And in the 171st Legislative District, Republican incumbent Kerry Benninghoff of Bellefonte took on Democratic challenger Peter Buck. Benninghoff won this race with more than 62% of the vote to Buck's 38%. He became the House Majority Leader in June and has held office since 1996. This will be his 13th term.
Election night is typically stressful for many people, But this year, the anxiety of a yet-to-be-concluded election has stretched on for days. Reporter Jeremy Gaines gauged the emotions of voters this week.
Every year on November 3rd, Americans cast their ballots and eagerly await election results later that night. But in 2020, the unprecedented volume of mail-in ballots has taken various counties much of this week to report their results, and the long process only adds to an already tense time. At the Bryce Jordan Center, voting went very smoothly. Emily Zimler, a Pennsylvania presidential fellow and supporter of Joe Biden, worked at the polls for the whole day.
So many more people have shown up, which is amazing, and we're so happy to see that. People have seemed pretty excited, and they know their kind of voting plan.
Penn State students came to the BJC on Election Day to make sure their vote was counted. In part because of the increase in early voting, they encountered few disruptions and pretty short lines. Though voting in Centre County was not difficult, the weight of what has essentially become election week makes for an emotional time. Both Zimler and Republicans I spoke with agreed that it could be up to about a week before we know for sure who the next president of the United States will be. Jordan Clark, the president of Penn State College Republicans, says just standing by is tough, but necessary in this unique election.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, I would rather wait than not have an accurate count of who won. So that's my optimistic perspective on it.
Only adding to the anxiety has been the large swings in momentum as votes come in chunks. Late Tuesday night, President Trump appeared to hold leads in key swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and our state of Pennsylvania. But as mail-in ballots have continued to be processed, several news outlets have called Wisconsin and Michigan for Biden, and he has a lead in PA. The shifts in each state may be frustrating and confusing, but election officials say we just have to be patient and let the electoral process play out. In University Park, I'm Jeremy Gaines for the Centre County Report.
The slow ballot counting has become a hot-button issue in parts of Pennsylvania and around the country, but here in Centre County, it went smoothly. Reporter Hunter Pitkoff is live in State College with more on this story. Hunter?
Thanks, Chris. Right now, I'm live outside the Penn State Hotel, where we saw over 275 trained workers processing the mail-in ballots. There were over 38,000 mail-in ballots here in Centre County and over 76,000 ballots overall across the county. Give perspective, that's almost a 6,000 vote increase than during the 2016 election.
This election has been unlike any we've ever seen. The coronavirus pandemic led to new ways for people to vote. Mail-in became more popular, with Pennsylvania receiving over 2.5 million mail-in ballots. That's led to a slower than usual counting of votes and plenty of people questioning the process.
There are so many, so much, and the room is so big, and there's so many people counting that you can't really watch and to see what's happening.
Centre County GOP Chair Chris Eng also wonders how valid some of those ballots are and why ballots aren't required to have stamps. The state provided postage-paid envelopes. Democratic Chair Greg Stewart sees mail-in ballots as a way to get more people to vote.
It's been a real positive because given the problems with COVID, there were a lot of people who are very nervous about going to the polls. So this gave them another opportunity to cast their vote in a safe manner.
Centre County set up 8 drop boxes across the area and allowed people to vote early at the Bryce Jordan Center. Mail-in ballots had to be sent by Election Day and arrive by Friday to be processed. Despite the slowdown in reporting final results, the governor promised that Pennsylvania would ensure all votes are counted.
Centre County received hundreds of thousands of dollars from the CARE Act in order to help hire employees for the election and for ballot counting. Live from State College, I'm Hunter Pitkoff. Now back to you at the studio.
And we have some breaking news right now. Centre County's new COVID numbers are just in. There are 79 more positive cases since yesterday. That brings the total case to 4,500 since March. The number of deaths is up to 21. Also, tonight's Phillipsburg Osceola versus Penns Valley football game has been canceled due to some football players being quarantined. State College Borough has released its latest COVID ordinance violation numbers from October 26th through November 1st, which includes Halloween and a Penn State football weekend. There were 24 emergency ordinance violations reported to police. Those resulted in 5 citations. Police also report a drop in alcohol-related calls where medical help was needed, as well as public drunkenness during the football weekend.
We've had some warm weather this week, but will it stick around into the weekend? Jacob is here with the 7-day forecast coming up. Also ahead, Penn State is making a change to its grading system this semester because of challenges caused by the pandemic. More on that story after the break.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent. We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
'Cause I'm gonna stand by you.
State College police are looking for suspects who pulled off a daring theft in Boalsburg on Halloween. Sometime in the morning hours of last Saturday at the Military Museum's parking lot, the catalytic converters from a truck parked in the lot were cut out and stolen. If anyone has any information about the incident, they're asked to contact the State College Police Department.
It looks like Penn State students will have another chance to go pass-fail on their grades this semester. The Faculty Senate has voted to endorse a resolution drafted by student senators on continuing the alternative pass-fail grading method that was used in the spring. The changes are designed to help students who are facing challenges during the pandemic. More details, including the deadline for choosing alternate grades, should be out by mid-November.
It's still very dry across central Pennsylvania with no rain in the forecast until at least next week. The latest U.S. Drought Monitor map released yesterday by the federal government shows most of Centre County in a moderate drought, but there's a big difference in other parts of the state, ranging from normal in eastern PA to a severe drought in some northern counties. Now here's Jacob with more on the weather.
Good afternoon. We got plenty of sunshine across the Commonwealth right now, and our warm-up continues. If you remember, just earlier this week, we had temperatures struggling to get out of the 30s. I had to break out my winter jacket earlier this week, but now t-shirt and shorts are the way to go for most people as we go into the next couple of days with temperatures in the middle 60s right now. This is well above average for this time of year. And across the rest of Pennsylvania, temperatures in the middle 60s throughout most of the state will approach the 70-degree mark as we get into the afternoon hours today. The radar and satellite is showing those clear skies across the state. We had some high-level clouds move through yesterday, but those have moved out, and we're seeing wall-to-wall sunshine across the Keystone State. And that's the case across most of the lower 48. Plenty of sunshine for most of the United States. So a lot of calm weather across the country. So let's turn our attention down to the tropics with Tropical Depression Eta. This has now moved off the coast of Central America. If you remember last week, it made landfall in Nicaragua as a Category 4 storm. And this is expected to re-intensify into a tropical storm and impact Cuba and maybe even South Florida as we get into the beginning of next week. But now turning our attention back to weather here in Pennsylvania, we're looking at calm conditions, plenty of sunshine throughout the weekend and into the beginning of next week. Great time to make some plans to get outside. And this is starting off on Tuesday of next week. Plenty of sunshine still in place until Wednesday of next week, where we see precipitation enter our forecast. So here's your 7-day forecast showing temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above average over the next 5 days. And then those showers not moving in until Veterans Day of next week. This is 6 of the next 7 days. We're forecasting temperatures above the 60-degree mark. The past couple of days, we've also seen temperatures above 60 degrees. So that makes it 8 days with temperatures, 8 consecutive days with high temperatures above the 60-degree mark. Not very November-like for this time of year. In fact, here's your interesting weather fact of the day. The last time we had this persistently mild stretch of weather in November was all the way back in November of 1975. So quite an impressive mild stretch of weather that I would suggest that you go outside and enjoy in the coming days. Summer, over to you with sports.
Penn State plays Maryland tomorrow, still looking for its first win of the season. DJ Bauer is live at Beaver Stadium with a preview. That's next in sports. Also ahead, would you keep playing a sport you love even if being on the field causes a severe allergic reaction? We have the inspiring story of some high school athletes who refuse to give up.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
I'm Summer Thomas with sports. Penn State football is back tomorrow for its second home game of the season. The Nittany Lions are still looking for their first win, and they'll take on Maryland. DJ is live at Beaver Stadium with our preview of the game. DJ?
Thanks, Summer. I'm here outside Beaver Stadium, where Penn State is set to take on the Maryland Terrapins tomorrow for their second home game of the season and third overall. Now, 2020 has been a difficult year for many, and the Nittany Lions are included in that. They've had to deal with injuries, no fans, and now an 0-2 start after losing to Ohio State last Saturday. And that loss has put the Nittany Lions in unfamiliar territory.
Unrivaled is unranked. For the first time since 2016, the Penn State Nittany Lions are outside of the AP Top 25 poll, following their 38-25 loss to Ohio State last Saturday.
It's also the first time they've started 0-2 since 2012. In the Indiana loss, turnovers, penalties, and missed opportunities were the culprit. But against Ohio State, a lack of explosiveness was to blame.
We were not able to get the running game going, which made us predictable. And the last thing you want to do is be predictable against a talented opponent like that.
The defense wasn't stellar either, as the Nittany Lions gave up 526 total yards without recording a single turnover. They couldn't get much pressure on Justin Fields, as the Ohio State quarterback was sacked just twice. Now the Nittany Lions turn their attention to Maryland. The Terrapins visit Beaver Stadium, looking to avenge last season's 59-0 blowout loss in College Park. The Terrapins will rely on the emergence of a breakout star, sophomore quarterback Taulia Tagovailoa. The younger brother of former Alabama QB Tua, Tagovailoa earned his first win in a Maryland uniform last Friday, as his 394 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns powered the Terps to a 45-44 win over Minnesota.
We got a hot quarterback coming in here, and whenever you got a hot quarterback in college football or the NFL, you got a chance. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge.
Penn State will have to find a way to contain Tagovailoa, or the Nittany Lions could be on upset alert. Now, Penn State comes into this game as the overwhelming favorites, but Coach Franklin knows that Maryland is going to bring a lot of fire, especially after last year's blowout loss. He's got his team stressing that 1-0 mentality that they've become famous for, and they're really going to need it on Saturday, or they could be facing 0-3 for the first time since 2001. That's all for Beaver Stadium. Now we'll send it back to Summer in the studio.
Thanks, DJ. Penn State hockey fans, the time has finally come. The team is set to return to the ice on November 19th in Minneapolis against the Golden Gophers. Phase 1 of the schedule features other conference opponents, including Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona State, with the Sun Devils joining for this season. Penn State lost 10 seniors from last year's Big Ten regular season championship team and will play with a lot of new and familiar faces. The first home games are December 2nd and 3rd against Michigan. In the NFL's Week 9, the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers will take on the Cowboys in Dallas after the Cowboys lost in Philly last weekend. At 7-0, the Steelers are off to their best start since 1978, with the 5th highest scoring offense in the league and a formidable defense to match. So traveling to Dallas to play a struggling Cowboys team, likely without Andy Dalton, has the Steelers favored to win at a negative 13.5-point spread. Plus, the Steelers' second highest DVOA in the league ranking means that Cowboys' unknown and inexperienced starter at quarterback will have a tough test at home. Whether it's pro or high school, athletes always want to be on the field. But a unique reason has kept a couple local field
games due to injury or illness all the time. But of all the reasons to miss a game, State High field hockey players Liv Morocco and Rebecca Bonas have to deal with one that doesn't normally show up on injury reports. The reason they've missed games.
And I was allergic to outside.
Liv and Rebecca deal with severe allergies. Liv discovered the worst of hers as a 9-year-old.
I would wake up and my eyes would be closed shut, and they tested me on my back, and my whole back just blew up.
Rebecca was in middle school when her allergies to grasses, trees, and pollen started to get bad, but she just started getting shots for them this year.
Sometimes it has been almost a barrier to get more in shape or just skill wise, because I see it more when I'm pushing myself really hard, and then it's more of oxygen flow. I can't get enough. And then, so that's been hard.
For Liv, she couldn't even go outside without having a reaction. There were times when she was even allergic to the medicine that was meant to help her. She found herself at the doctor once a week to get 2 allergy shots in each arm.
And I also passed out from some of the shots, but I was used to that.
You're used to that?
Yeah.
That happened a lot?
Not often, but it happened a couple of times. I would just pass out.
Being able to play on turf fields like this one in high school have been a huge help for Liv. When she was younger, she didn't always have the option of playing on the turf fields. That meant playing on grass, and that grass brought out the worst of her allergies.
And I wouldn't be able to go because I couldn't see anything, couldn't breathe.
Both Liv and Rebecca haven't let their allergies get the best of them. Liv is a sophomore on the varsity field hockey team, and Rebecca will be playing field hockey at American University next year. In State College, I'm Josh Starr for the Center County Report.
Liv and Rebecca both suffered worse during the spring season, but they've still been able to use allergy shots and other treatments to take the field and play their favorite sports. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk.
Thanks, Summer. Coming up next, how one local farm got involved in the election spirit this week. That story is after the break.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Okay, Simon, what do people wear?
Clothes.
That's right. So it's important to learn how to dress yourself. Here's how it's done. Shirt, underwear, pants, socks, shoes. Underwear, always first, name tag on the back. Then pants and shirt. Go ahead and put this on. Now with the shirt, you want to make sure the first button's right or you have to start all over again, okay? Socks left on left, right on right. Tying the shoes, we're going to take the laces, we're going to cross them over, we're going to turn around where the bunny goes down in the hole, pull it tight, and bunny ears. Got it?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The presidential election campaign has featured a lot of unusual things, and that includes some campaign artwork. In a local farm field, crop artist Stan Hurd has used Georgia and Kevin Abbey's farm in Ferguson Township as the location for his latest campaign project. The piece depicts a poster-style image of Americans with the Biden campaign slogan, "Build Back Better." Georgia Abbey was surprised and excited when Hurd approached them about using their farm for the crop artwork.
Pennsylvania. We live in a neighborhood of farmers and accountants and food service workers and truck drivers and musicians, and everybody works hard to make it. And this picture depicted hardworking Americans. So
Hurd has also created 2 other crop art pieces in battleground states, Wisconsin and Michigan.
That's all for today's newscast. You can find more of our stories on our website, centercountyreport.com. Our next newscast is on Tuesday, but you can follow us anytime for breaking news on Twitter. That's at Center County REP or on our Facebook page. We also have a Center County Report Instagram. Have a good weekend.